Thank you, Nina Enrique. Good evening, everyone. I'm Alma Angeles for NET25 World News. On tonight's headlines. An unknown number of people are still unaccounted for after Tibet's 6.8 magnitude earthquake. Devastating winds drive life-threatening wildfires across Southern California.
Hopefully we're wrong, but we're anticipating other fires happening concurrently. And that's exactly the previous experience we've had with these kinds of wind events.
Plus, U.S. expansion. President-elect Donald Trump suggests potential military or economic force involving Panama Canal, Greenland, and even Canada. Plus, a bold proposal to rename the Gulf of Mexico as the Gulf of America.
Pretty soon we're going to change, because we do most of the work there and it's ours. We're going to be changing sort of the opposite of Biden, where he's closing everything up, essentially getting rid of $50 to $60 trillion worth of assets. We're going to be changing the name of the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America. A lot of territory. The Gulf of America. What a beautiful name.
And the news starts now. Authorities are warning of worsening wildfire conditions in the Pacific Palisades, with strong winds expected to intensify the danger overnight.
Currently, the fire is at 1,261 acres and growing based on aerial reconnaissance. The fire is being fueled by a combination of strong winds and surrounding topography, which is making it extremely challenging for our personnel that are assigned to this incident. Evacuation orders are in place for approximately 30,000 residents, including the Highlands area.
We are not out of danger. The National Weather Service has predicted that the winds are going to pick up and get worse. We're going to have the most significant wind event between 10 p.m. this evening and 5 a.m. tomorrow morning. So it's incumbent that everybody have a wildfire action plan for their home.
By no stretch of the imagination are we out of the woods. You heard a chief say 10 p.m. tonight to 5 a.m. tomorrow will be peak winds. And having just quite literally an hour or so ago gone up the canyon and saw firsthand the impact of these swirling winds and the embers and the number of structures that are destroyed, not a few, many structures already destroyed, and the fact that people were still not evacuated, still did not heed the warning, we're just coming down the canyon, is a reminder of how serious this moment is and how important it is you listen to these evacuation orders. Emergency proclamations being drafted as we speak. And I just want to thank the president, because that's something I don't take for granted. Hopefully we're wrong, but we're anticipating other fires happening concurrently. And that's exactly the previous experience we've had with these kinds of wind events. And that's why we continue to provide and supplement those resources from all across Northern California in particular.
Firefighters are battling what they're calling blowtorch conditions. The Palisades fire exploded in just hours, scorching over 1,200 acres, according to CAL FIRE. The fast-moving blaze has forced evacuations in Pacific Palisades, a neighborhood known for its multi-million-dollar homes in West Los Angeles. Dramatic scenes have unfolded as the fire, driven by relentless winds, jumped from 10 to 200 acres in just 20 minutes. Embers igniting spot fires as flames inch closer to homes. And rescuers are working through the night in Tibet, searching for survivors after a powerful earthquake near Everest killed at least 126 people and injured nearly 200. The quake, which damaged over 3,000 buildings, struck the Himalayan foothills on Tuesday morning and was felt in Nepal and parts of India. The Shigatse region, home to 800,000 people, bore significant damage. It's the traditional seat of the Panchen Lama, a key figure in Tibetan Buddhism whose spiritual authorities is second only to the Dalai Lama. Videos from the area showed homes reduced to rubble as rescue teams work through debris. handing out blankets to locals. With temperatures dropping to minus 16 degrees Celsius overnight, survivors faced even greater challenges. The quake, measured at magnitude 7.1 by the USGS, is one of China's deadliest in recent years. While the region is prone to seismic activity due to its location on a major fault line, the level of destruction is severe. President Xi Jinping has called for an all-out rescue effort to save lives and support affected residents. This disaster echoes the 2015 earthquake in Nepal that killed nearly 9,000 people, highlighting the region's vulnerability to powerful earthquakes. The Office of the Civil Defense says it's preparing planned exodus to evacuate residents of Canlaon City in case Mount Canlaon's unrest escalates into a hazardous eruption.
In fact, kinakausap na natin yung dispute as early as September, October last year. At naghahanap na tayo ng paraan. Ang isa sa mga challenges is to look for a land kung saan pwedeng mailipat ang mga kababayan natin. Ang maganda dito, nag-uusap si ID Sal at saka si Red ng maghahanap ng lupa na pwedeng pagkalipatan. Pero yun lang, we have to be prepared. Because there's a possibility that that land will be outside of Canlaon City. Pagdating ng alert number 4, halos lahat mauubos. Ang labas ng ating evacuation, pagka-inactivate natin yung Oplan Exodus, ang nakikita namin, iisa lang ang daanan palabas ng Canlaon City. And that is going to Valle Hermoso. Merong daanan papunta ng La Castellana. Pero pag dumaan ka doon, nandoon ka pa rin sa loob. So, hindi pwede yun. And we have to be prepared for the worst case scenario.
Meanwhile, severe snow and flooding have wreaked havoc across the UK, with heavy snow forcing 3 major airports to temporarily shut down and widespread flooding affecting parts of England. More than 200 flood warnings were issued as rivers overflowed, submerging villages and communities. The powerful weather system hit hardest on Tuesday, with significant disruption across the country. In addition to the flooding, snowstorms made travel difficult, especially in the northern and central regions of the UK.
But this is the worst time we've had for quite a while. In fact, I think it was a year ago when we had the similar flooding, but not as bad as this. But the damage caused in this area is tremendous to the shops and the expense that people have to go through to maintain these properties.
With more rainfall expected, the situation is far from over. The public is being urged to stay updated on weather warnings and take precautions to stay safe. A light aircraft crashed near Rottnest Island off the western Australian city of Perth, killing 2 tourists from Switzerland and Denmark, and the pilot, according to authorities.
It is my sad duty to confirm that 3 lives were lost when a seaplane crashed moments after takeoff at Thompson Bay. The bodies of the 3 deceased were recovered from the wreckage by water police divers last night. The victims include a 65-year-old woman, a passenger who we understand was a Swiss tourist, a 60-year-old man, a passenger believed to be a tourist from Denmark, and a 34-year-old man who was the pilot who lived in Perth. For something so tragic to happen in front of so many people at a place that provides so much joy, especially at this time of the year, is deeply upsetting.
Tragically, we have lost 3 lives. We understand of the 7 passengers, 3 were couples and the pilot. 3 of those people are recovering in hospital, ranging from very minor injuries to a very serious hand injury. We are working with all of those survivors to understand what their observations were of the crash.
Malaysia and Singapore announced an agreement on a special economic zone in the southern Malaysian state of Johor, aiming to support investment and free up movement of goods and people between the countries. The Southeast Asian neighbors first agreed in principle to jointly develop the economic zone a year ago. Now, the agreement was announced during a visit to Malaysia by Singapore Prime Minister Lawrence Wong and senior cabinet ministers. Prime Minister Wong emphasized the importance of ASEAN unity, especially in the light of growing global competition.
We think it's going to be more important now than ever before for ASEAN to be strong, integrated and united, because the greater competition we face is not amongst ourselves within ASEAN, it's outside of the region. Everyone is trying to anchor major projects now in today's world where the big economies are all talking about reshoring, onshoring, nearshoring. They want the key projects to be nearer to their home economies. So ASEAN has to come together, look at ways in which we can enhance our value proposition and be competitive together. And Malaysia and Singapore can form a very important foundation for a stronger ASEAN. That's why the Johor-Singapore SEZ, the RTS, these are all critical building blocks towards more integrated ASEAN. And where ASEAN is concerned, we are talking about not just more trade and investment linkages, but infrastructure linkages, including the ASEAN power grid. These are all good projects that Singapore will support, and we hope under Malaysia's leadership, we can make good progress on these projects.
The two leaders also invited proposals for high-speed rail connections between the countries. The initiative seeks to address the daily congestion at the Causeway, one of the world's busiest border crossings, which sees thousands of Malaysians commuting to Singapore for work and study. This says deal, along with the high-speed rail proposal, highlights the deepening cooperation between Malaysia and Singapore, laying the groundwork for greater regional integration and economic competitiveness. And President-elect Donald Trump is making headlines with bold remarks about expanding U.S. dominance, suggesting a dramatic reshaping of global relations. In a press conference, Trump suggested the U.S. should take control of both the Panama Canal and Greenland, even saying military force could be an option.
You're talking about Panama and Greenland. No, I can't assure you on either of those two. But I can say this, we need them for economic security. The Panama Canal was built for our military. Look, the Panama Canal is vital to our country. It's being operated by China. China. And we gave the Panama Canal to Panama. We didn't give it to China. And they've abused it. They've abused that gift. It should have never been made, by the way. Giving the Panama Canal is why Jimmy Carter lost the election, in my opinion, more so maybe than the hostages. The hostages were a big deal. But if you remember, and nobody wants to talk about the Panama Canal now because, you know, it's inappropriate, I guess, but because it's a bad part of the Carter legacy. But he was a good man. Look, he was a good man. Put it away for $1. They laugh at us because they think we're stupid, but we're not stupid anymore. So the Panama Canal is under discussion with them right now. They violated every aspect of the agreement, and they've morally violated it also.
Our canal's sovereignty is not negotiable and is part of our history of struggle and an irreversible conquest. Our canal has the mission to serve humanity and its trade. That is one of the values that Panamanians offer to the world, giving guarantee to the international community not to take part, nor be an active part of any conflict. The only hands that control the canal are Panamanian, and it will continue to be so. We are a country open to dialogue today, and always, to investments and good relations, but with the clear slogan that the homeland is first.
The canal, handed back to Panama in 1999, has seen increased Chinese shipping activity in recent years. Regarding Greenland, Trump cited national security concerns, claiming the U.S. needs control of the Danish territory due to rising Chinese and Russian naval activity.
Well, we need Greenland for national security purposes. I've been told that for a long time, long before I even ran. I mean, people have been talking about it for a long time. You have approximately 45,000 people there. People really don't even know if Denmark has any legal right to it. But if they do, they should give it up because we need it for national security. That's for the free world. I'm talking about protecting the free world. You look at, you don't even need binoculars. You look outside, you have China ships all over the place. You have Russian ships all over the place. We're not letting that happen. We're not letting it happen. And if Denmark wants to get to a conclusion, but nobody knows if they even have any right, title, or interest. The people are going to probably vote for independence or to come into the United States. But if they did do that, then I would tariff Denmark at a very high level.
It's a question of whether should we maybe collaborate a bit more with the US. We shouldn't be bought by anyone because Greenland is not for sale and Greenland will not be for sale, but we can have a closer collaboration on business development with the US.
However, as Donald Trump Jr. arrived in Greenland's capital for what he called a personal visit, the Danish Prime Minister firmly rejected the idea, stating Greenland is not for sale. In another surprising remark, Trump proposed using economic force on Canada, suggesting it could become the 51st state.
Economic force, because Canada and the United States, that would really be something. You get rid of that artificially drawn line, and you take a look at what that looks like, and it would also be much better for national security. Don't forget, we basically protect Canada. We don't need anything they have. We don't need their dairy products. We have more than they have. We don't need anything. So why are we losing $200 billion a year and more to protect Canada? And I said that to, as I called him, Governor Trudeau. I said, listen, what would happen if we didn't subsidize you, if we didn't, because we give them a lot of money.
Trump also proposed renaming the Gulf of Mexico as the Gulf of America.
Pretty soon we're going to change because we do most of the work there and it's ours. We're going to be changing, sort of the opposite of Biden, where he's closing everything up, essentially getting rid of $50 to $60 trillion worth of assets. We're going to be changing the name of the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America, which has a beautiful ring that covers a lot of territory. The Gulf of America, what a beautiful name. And it's appropriate. It's appropriate.
These statements follow the recent certification of the 2024 election results by Congress. Trump also hinted at potential pardons for those involved in the January 6 Capitol attack, saying his team would look at the whole thing. Meanwhile, in the courts, Trump secured a temporary win when a Florida judge blocked the release of special counsel Jack Smith's investigation report. However, his attempt to delay sentencing in his New York hush money case was denied with the hearing set for Friday. The U.S. Defense Department said it has added Chinese tech giants, including gaming and social media leader Tencent Holdings and battery maker CATL, to a list of firms it says work with China's military. Tensions are heating up between Washington and Beijing, with the U.S. Department of Defense adding Chinese tech giant Tencent to its list of companies linked to the Chinese military. Tencent, best known for its all-in-one app WeChat and the gaming hit PUBG, is now under scrutiny by the Pentagon. While this designation doesn't trigger immediate sanctions, it certainly hits the company's image hard. In fact, shares of Tencent dropped 7% on the Hong Kong Stock Exchange after this news broke. Also on the list, battery maker CATL. It is the world's largest producer of electric vehicle batteries. The Pentagon claims both Tencent and CATL collect data for the Chinese military and may even be supporting military operations within the U.S. Both companies have strongly denied the accusations, calling the listing a serious mistake. And some lawmakers are now pushing for another Chinese giant, TikTok's parent company ByteDance, to face similar scrutiny.
We do not promote or remove content at the request of the Chinese government. The question is, are you 100% certain that they cannot use your company to promote such messages? It is our commitment to this committee and all our users that we will keep this free from any manipulation by any government. If you can't say 100% certain, I take that as a no.
Under President Biden, the U.S. has maintained a tough stance on Chinese tech firms, with TikTok facing a potential nationwide ban by January 19th, unless ByteDance sells to a U.S.-approved buyer. But things could shift with the incoming administration. President-elect Donald Trump, who once pushed for a TikTok ban, now seems to be softening his stance.
It was amazing. So we got the highest vote ever for a Republican candidate. We won by 36 points with young people. That never happens. A Republican loses by 36 or 40. So I'm going to have to start thinking about TikTok. I think we're going to have to start thinking. Because, you know, we did go on TikTok and we had a great response with billions of views, billions and billions of views. They brought me a chart, and it was a record, and it was so beautiful to see. And as I looked at it, I said, maybe we got to keep this sucker around a little while. You know, who wants to?
With Trump's inauguration just days away, his approach to the U.S.-China tech rivalry remains unclear. Will he continue the crackdown or take a different path? We'll stay tuned. Tensions are rising in British politics as Elon Musk takes aim at Prime Minister Keir Starmer and Labour MP Jess Phillips over their handling of sexual exploitation cases. His controversial remarks have sparked a heated debate, with Starmer defending his colleagues while critics questioning Musk's influence on UK politics. Love and Season for more.
A new political storm is brewing in Britain with Tesla CEO Elon Musk at its center. The world's wealthiest man has launched fierce attacks against Prime Minister Keir Starmer and the Labour government. At the heart of the controversy are Musk's accusations about Starmer's handling of sexual exploitation cases during his time as Director of Public Prosecutions. The tech billionaire has also targeted Labour MP Jess Phillips, calling her a rape genocide apologist over her stance on grooming gang investigations in Oldham. Prime Minister Starmer responded directly to the accusations.
On the question of Elon Musk, look, I think most people are more interested in what's going to happen to the NHS, frankly, than what's happening on Twitter.
Later, Starmer defended his colleague and criticized those spreading misinformation.
Those that are spreading lies and misinformation as far and as wide as possible, they're not interested in victims. They're interested in themselves. Those who are cheerleading Tommy Robinson, not interested in justice. They're supporting a man who went to prison for nearly collapsing a grooming case, a gang grooming case. These are people who are trying to get some kind of vicarious thrill from street violence that people like Tommy Robinson promote. And those attacking Jess Phillips, who I'm proud to call a colleague and a friend, not protecting victims. Jess Phillips has done 1,000 times more than they've even dreamt about when it comes to protecting victims of sexual abuse throughout her entire career.
The controversy has reignited debates on the handling of child exploitation cases and law enforcement's response to organized grooming gangs. While a 2022 inquiry into Oldham found systematic failures in safeguarding, it didn't confirm allegations of organized exploitation. In an unexpected twist, Musk, who previously backed Nigel Farage's Reform UK party, has now withdrawn his support, claiming Farage lacks leadership qualities.
In public life, tough things get said. They get said by both sides of the debate. You're right, this man happens to be the richest man in the world. But equally, the fact that he's bought Twitter now actually gives us a place where we can have a proper open debate about many things. And hey, even Facebook, even Meta are adjusting to the modern world. Free speech is back. We may find it offensive, but it's a good thing, not a bad thing.
Keir Starmer and Jess Phillips, by the way, who've both been on the receiving end of completely ill-judged and ill-founded criticism, are people who have done, in their professional lives, more than most people ever do to lock up paedophiles, rapists, wife beaters and every other kind of scumbag in our society. As Director of Prosecutions, Keir Starmer opened up historic cases going after people who thought they'd gotten away with it.
The public reaction has been mixed. James Warren, a 53-year-old engineer, expressed his concern.
There's an outside body who's got private interests that we don't understand and we don't know. So it's an unelected official who's demonstrating a political interest for motives that we've got no idea where he's coming from. So, yeah, I do have concerns about it.
Raphael Oze, a gym manager in London, was more direct.
Elon Musk should not be involved in any form of politics. He should just stick to business, what he knows. Right? There's a misconception that he knows politics because he made it in business. Micro and macroeconomics are two different things. Elon Musk should just stay out of politics, period.
As this political drama unfolds, questions remain about the impact of Musk's intervention in British politics and its implications for the country's political landscape. From London, United Kingdom, this is Love and Season reporting for NET25 World News.
And the news continues here on NET25. We'll be right back. Meta Platforms, the U.S. tech giant, is ending its third-party fact-checking program on Facebook, Instagram, and other social media platforms. Now, U.S. media speculates the move could be linked to Donald Trump's upcoming inauguration on January 20. Since last year's presidential election, Meta has been working to improve its relations with Trump, even donating $1 million to a fund related to his inauguration. Take a look.
It's time to get back to our roots around free expression on Facebook and Instagram.
Meta Platform CEO Mark Zuckerberg said on Tuesday his company will end its U.S. fact-checking program and replace it with a user-driven system similar to Community Notes on Elon Musk's X platform. Zuckerberg also said Meta will reduce the curbs on discussions around contentious topics, such as immigration and gender identity.
We've reached a point where it's just too many mistakes and too much censorship. The recent elections also feel like a cultural tipping point towards once again prioritizing speech. So we're going to get back to our roots and focus on reducing mistakes, simplifying our policies, and restoring free expression on our platforms.
Today was stop putting fact checks on its website and instead allow community to
Well, I watched their news conference, and I thought it was a very good news conference. I think they've come a long way. Meta, Facebook. I think they've come a long way. I watched it. The man was very impressive. I watched it on Fox. I'm not allowed to say that.
The move marks a reversal in Meta's policy, as Zuckerberg has long championed active content moderation, despite criticism from conservatives over alleged censorship on its platform. It also comes shortly after the company named Republican policy executive Joel Kaplan as global affairs head and elected Dana White, CEO of Ultimate Fighting Championship and a close friend of President-elect Donald Trump, to its board.
We're going to move our trust and safety and content moderation teams out of California, and our US-based content review is going to be based in Texas. As we work to promote free expression, I think that it will help us build trust to do this work in places where there is less concern about the bias of our teams.
Some of Meta's fact-checking partners were surprised by the policy change, while others, including Reuters, did not immediately respond to a request for comment. Meanwhile, Elon Musk's X has come under fire for loosening its content moderation rules. The European Commission is investigating X over dissemination of illegal content in the EU and the effectiveness of measures taken to combat information manipulation, including the Community Notes system. For its part, Meta says it has no immediate plan to end third-party fact-checking in the EU.
Sony has officially entered the electric vehicle market with its Afeela 1, now available for pre-orders starting at $89,900. Revealed at CES 2025, the car marks Sony's first foray into EVs developed in partnership with Honda.
A new entrant into the competitive world of electric vehicles drove into view on Monday. Japanese tech giant Sony revealed its Afeela 1 is now available for pre-order at a starting price of $89,900. Hiroki Totoki is president and CFO of Sony and spoke at the CES Technology Trade Show in Las Vegas.
At last, Afeela 1 is ready for reservation. This product will be offered at the starting price of $89,900 for the origin trim and $102,900 for the signature trim.
The Afeela 1 is Sony's first EV and developed in partnership with Japanese automaker Honda. It first unveiled a prototype of the vehicle at the same event 2 years ago. Sony executives said Monday both versions of the car come with a 3-year complimentary subscription to the company's connectivity and entertainment features. That also includes a driver assistance system. Sony's long-awaited push into EVs shows how manufacturers are focused on the cockpit experience in cars. It offers the potential to sell content via subscription services, especially as autonomous driving capabilities improve.
And with that, we end tonight's broadcast. For everyone here on NET25, I'm Alma Angeles. Thank you all for joining us. Good night.